Phoenix Books presents Home and Away, written and performed live by Kevin Kling. This audio edition is copyright 2016 Phoenix Books. It has been digitally remastered from the original 1994 Gang of Seven Records sound recording.
Hello, my name is Kevin Kling, and I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. The first time I went to Seattle was on a bet. I was at a party with a buddy of mine, Easy Bob Danke, and he was telling me how you could get good seafood in Minneapolis. And I says, no way, Bob. You got to go to one of the coasts. Oh, no, he says. There's a place here in Minneapolis that flies it in fresh every day. I says, Bob, you don't know about seafood. I mean, Bob's idea is sushi's a thawed Mrs. Paul's. So that night, we find ourselves on a boxcar screaming out of the St. Paul freight yards at 70 miles an hour, me and Bob Danke in my big mouth, and we get up to Fargo, North Dakota, and we're going through their freight yards at 35 miles an hour when all of a sudden I hear Bob say, uh-oh. And I say, what do you mean, uh-oh, Bob? And he says, uh-oh. He says, we're heading up to Grand Forks. We don't want to go to Grand Forks. We want to go to Minot. And I'm going to say, what are you going to do about it, Bob? When I look, and he's thrown my backpack outside the boxcar door. I can see it flying through the air. I see my pack hit, and it explodes. I see my things flying through the air, my underwear, my shirts, my martini olives. And I look, and there's Bob's pack flying through the air. I see his pack hit, and it explodes. And I'm kind of looking to see what Bob brought along when all of a sudden there's Bob outside the boxcar door. I can see him flying through the air, and I think, oh, God, if I see Bob hit, and the same thing happens to Bob as what happened to my pack, I'll never jump. So I closed my eyes, and I leapt. And when I opened my eyes, there I was out in the world. I could turn around and look back into that dark hole, but now I was out in the colors, and I was flying through the air at 35 miles an hour, and I was never gonna land. And then I felt my pants split. And then I felt my head hit. And then my knee and my head and my knee and my head and my knee and my head. And I started to roll, and it reminded me of when I was little, and I used to take my brother to the laundromat and put him in a dryer, and I'd put in a quarter, and I'd think, oh, when is his quarter going to run out? And then I'm thinking, when is my quarter going to run out? I'm rolling and rolling and rolling, and finally I stopped. And I got up, and my head hurt, and my knee was cut open, and I come limping back, and there's Bob putting his stuff back in his pack, so I start putting my stuff back in my pack, and that's when I looked up as the train stopped. I'll never forget the time my father and I were struck by lightning. We were working on an airplane,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?